Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream, which is a question time. We are live. It is April the 7th at 11 p.m. BST. Hello everyone in chat. If you are first time joining us on the Wednesday live stream, every Wednesday I do an AMA where I answer your questions about games development, Unreal Engine 4, and basically anything else you want to know. So for the next hour, I'll be answering your questions that you put in chat. So all you have to do is put in your questions into chat, and I'll catch them if I can. If I do miss them, don't worry, just keep putting them in there, and I will try and catch as many as I can before the hour is up. So good evening, everyone. Hello, Angus. Hello, Joe. Hello, Spalur. UE5 Project Storm. Matt. Hello, Lystrian. Golden Pixie. X Draco. Hello, Jimmy. Gaming Zod. Good. Gaming's good. Gaming is good. Sorry, can't read names. Welcome everyone, and yeah, so let's get started. I'm gonna just jump in a second. So a few things are coming out this week. We've got FPS RPG Chapter 2 started coming out for people on YouTube. RTS series continues over on Patreon, as well as a load more host of goodies coming out later this week for Patreon members as well. The puzzle game series will also continue on YouTube. So lots of all stuff like that. Now, if you want a session, a private session, or for me to do any private work for you, you can email me at support@ryanA.com. April is full. I've got no more slots in April, and in May, very few slots left. So if you want or interested in getting private tuition and private one-to-one support, email me ASAP to secure your slot. They are first come, first serve. So get in there quick if you're on the fence about it. Anyway, let's jump in. So, first question I see there from X Draco. I still keep having a strange collision bug. I have a grenade that by default does not simulate physics. When launching, I activate physics, but the hit event does not randomly activate. Does not randomly activate. It's hard to know exactly what the issue could be there, X Draco. So, a few things that are important though is if you're making a say grenade, okay. Let's say you're making a grenade. Or it goes along with any physics-based objects. So if you're doing like projectiles or anything like that, you need to make sure of these couple of things. So first of all, let's say you've got a grenade, which is this sphere mesh, okay? You want to make sure the bit that's got physics enabled on it is the root. By dragging it onto the root there on the top left. That's very important, because when you enable physics, what it actually does is detach itself from the root of that it's currently attached to. But if it is itself the root, that's important, because the hit event looks at the root for collisions. So look at that, make sure that's the first thing. Then on the right hand side, you want to make sure, if you've got simulate physics ticked on, that your simulation generates hit events. So only if it's a physics simulation, you want to make sure that this is ticked on, enabled for the hit event to trigger. And also make it block all dynamic, which it should do. If you enable physics, it should have that block in anyway. They're the two common things that people miss on those. So make sure that that is set up the case like that. Well, the next build series episode's coming out. So I'm hoping to record episode 18 this week, either tomorrow or Friday, and put up on Patreon. There's only a few more left really to do, so I'm trying to get them all done, filmed within next week or so, and put them up for Patreon members, because I kind of want to get it done now and move on to the next thing. So yeah, for YouTube people, I'm not entirely sure when that'll come out, probably 2 weeks after it comes out on Patreon at the very minimum, but we'll see. Hello, Hellraiser. Hello, how are you? I'm good, thank you. How are you? UE5 Project Storm. Question. How to pinch a texture so it moves towards the center? So the movement of the texture is from the outer region of the texture to the center. I suspect UV distortion or something. Interesting problem. Let's have a look at that. So let's have I'll call it my pinch panner. So in here, we're going to get a texture coordinates, and we're going to take the texture coordinates here, and we're going to what we're going to do to this one. You need to subtract from it 0.5, and then do vector to radial value. Because what you ultimately need to do is turn the UV coordinate here, which goes from 0 to 1 in like a normal graph shape. You need to make that more of a radial UV, and this is what this does. So when I output this as linear distance, so if I do like add and do that, probably have to add 0 to that. Hang on. It should give us, I think, if I've done that correctly. Yeah, so you get that effect. Okay, and that's a UV, by the way. So if you were to put that into a panner as the coordinate and make the speed, I don't know which one's which, would affect it. Hang on. Let's say speed of 0.2 there. And if I put that into a texture, let's make the texture brick. Brick. That one? Yeah, that one do. And plug that into UVs. And then plug that into base color. It'd be something like this. Let's turn it to a plane, so we can apply that. There you go. So it's again, eh? It's something like that. So it is panning. It's probably just the textures bore, but you get something like that. UE5 Project Storm. So you've got the texture coordinate. You subtract 0.5 from it because you need to get to the center of the thing, and that's halfway. So you need to get to there basically. And then you do vector to radial value, which takes this vector of UVs, which is this thing. And then linear distance turns into this sort of linear gradient type thing here. And we can use that as a coordinate for a panner, which then goes into the texture sample and does that similar effect. So it'll be something like that. So changing maybe the panner to Y maybe instead, 0.2. And that to 0. Let's see what effect that has. I'm guessing this is it. I don't know if this will work, if this is what you really want, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you can see the effect doing it. It's just a poor texture to use, but it's doing it. So definitely have a play about with this. Play about with that. Who's next? Underfunded scientists. You haven't missed much. That was pretty much the first kind of thing, apart from some basic physics stuff. What's the best collision type for... sorry, this is Bart Tasus. What is the best type of collision for a shield? Query or physics? Depends. You can have both. Query is more for overlaps. Physics is more for hits. So it depends on what you're doing with it. Chances are you can have both. You don't have to have one or the other. You can have both. Just make sure it ignores the player pawn, otherwise the player gets stuck behind it. You want to allow pawns go through it. Jimmy Jim, you made it. Well done. I hope you're having a good day, Ryan. It's been alright. Thank you. It's good, thank you. Native Black. Bro, been crazy busy, but it's so dope to see your channel taking off like it is. Keep it up. Will do, man. Thank you. Chris, how do you set up structs and tables and all that for a gun? I'm so lost on how all this works. No problem. Let's go through structs and data tables. So a struct is made first of all in blueprints here, and do structure, and we'll call it my struct. Oh no, you're doing guns, so let's do a gun struct. So a gun struct is a collection of variables. Think of structures as a collection of variables that are sort of grouped together. And then you need one for a data table. So in here, you put in your various settings. So this would be like name of gun, for example, which would be a text. Another one would be damage, and so on and so forth. You do all the various data things you want in it. Yeah, so you fill it up. I'm not going to go fill it all up because it'll take forever. But once you've got that, let's close this now. and this. Once you've got your structure, you now want to make a data table. So data tables take the structure and take each of those values and make them headings, because what a data table is a read-only file that, and it is read-only, you can't write to it. So it's a read-only file where you can store a large amount of information and data that you can then pull from by using just one value rather than trying to make it all yourself in individual things. And you make a data table by going to miscellaneous and go data table, and it will ask you to choose a struct. Now, for some reason, if you make a custom struct, I don't know the reason behind this, maybe someone else does, why it would list your one twice, but it does. It doesn't matter which one you pick. So make your data table, and when you open your data table, you'll get the rows of your variables. And when I go to new row up here, when I do add, you get a new one called row name. Now, row name is important because that's how you reference it. So you need to have that set to something. And you can just set it by double click on it to rename it to whatever you want. So you can rename it to 1 if you like, whatever you want. And on each row, you can set the data here. And what's important about this as well, you can also have a data table as a comma separated values file in Excel, for example. So you can type it all up in Excel and bring that into here. This also works for like databases, for online stuff. So if you're storing this information online, you can then fetch the file from there, bring it in and do some hackery stuff to it, and you can get access to data that way too. But ultimately, it's just getting the struct and putting their headings here in the table as those variables. And you just it's like a database. So if you have any idea about databases, it's basically that. And you can just make databases up of your different items here. So this will be 2, and we like rename each one. So this one is like gun 1, and this one is gun 2, and so on and so forth. You just build up the whole entire list, and that's basically it. And as I said, you can call individual rows from here. So let's say in this actor, whatever it may be, we have a reference in here to the row name from somewhere, and you can get data table row names if you want. If you want to find a particular one, you can do, or you can just get data table row, and you type in the row there, and it output whichever row you want here. Just choose the data table from the list, and you can now break out the gun struct. You can choose the row name, by the way, from the drop down here, but you probably would have a variable going in that will change that for you dynamically, but nonetheless it's there, and you can break it out and get that information like so. But yeah, that's it. If there's any other questions about that, let me know, Chris. Kelsey Allen, hello. Are you still offering one-on-one lessons? I've been having issues with character model desyncing with the capsule component, and I can't figure it out. Thanks for the tutorials, man. Yep, as I said at the start of the stream, I have no more spaces left for April. It's fully booked, and May is very quickly filling up. So just email me at support@ryana.com, and I can give you availability and prices and things like that. I can. I'll get back to you as soon as I can with that. And say May sessions do fill up fast, so if you want in, send it over. Hello Ryan, is there a way to make choosing a game like Detroit, but after the player chose to do something, the outcome will be random? Yeah, but it depends on what you're trying to do. Do you mean like a choosing game, like? Yes, I don't. That's quite a vague question. Of course you can, but I don't know what. It depends on what you want to be random. Be it an event that's random. Be it a variable. Yeah, I don't know. You have to give me a bit more information, I think. Buckminster. Could you show quickly a replication of a card across client and server, as well as when it clicked by client, its movement is replicated to the server? A card? You mean like a playing card, Buckminster? Could you quickly show a replication of a card across client and server, as well as when it is clicked by client, its movement is replicated to the server? Whilst I'm waiting for you to respond back to me, your thinking is wrong. The client isn't replicating to the server. The client sends an instruction to the server, and the server then replicates across everyone to do it. So the client is seeing the server's reaction to their click, not them reacting and the client updating everything else. So you always want to make sure the server's running the game, running the show. So you make sure they're doing it. I don't think we have time to go through it all up here because I haven't got. It involves a lot of setup. I don't think I have it available here. But when you click on the card, you want to send a function over to the server. Okay, so similar to what I do in the you make the function. You go on the event and go run on function. Hang on, a run on server. Sorry. So you have a custom event on here, and that is like card clicked, for example. Oh, hello. Card clicked, and you may send over which card or whatever, but when you replicate it, this is run on server, so this sends it over to the server, and then the server does a multicast of like update cards, for example, update cards, and this is run on multicast here, so that then goes out to all the clients and tell the clients to update. So card clicked gets clicked by the client and then goes over to the server. Then the server, when they receive that on card clicked, it'll be here. So they'll call update cards, for example. Do that, and then that'll call on all the clients. So when you click, so for example, actor on clicked, we do that, and then we call card clicked. So when I click on it, it calls card clicked, which is a server instruction to update the cards, and then the update cards then runs on all the clients to do whatever it is you want it to do. Move it, kill it, whatever you want to do. Hopefully that helps somewhat, Buckminster. Gaming is good. Hi, I'm doing the Maze game tutorial series. Well, but I wanted to add multiplayer, but I don't know how to make the door activate with the key instead of the player activating it with this with the line trace. Thanks. Okay, so what you need to do is similar to this basically. So when the key gets inserted by the client, you have an event that handles that. The event will go on to call a server instruction to say move door, update door, open door. So the server instruction is opening door, and then this is a multicast open door on all clients. So when you put the key in the door, it calls this, and then it calls open door. Hopefully that makes sense. It's the same concept. Remember, if you keep in mind that the server's in charge of the whole entire thing, so a client has to tell the server to tell everyone else to update. So the client has put the key in the door. The key in the door at the event needs to go onto the server. So you make a run on server event, which then runs to all the clients to update the clients. Hopefully that helps. Is there a way to assist from Sven? Oh, thank you, Fabian. Thank you. How's your day? My day is very well, thank you. It's good. We spent the day with my wife, just chilling out. Basically, it's quite nice. Sven K. Is there a way to trigger a random event in a level blueprint? This could be as simple as a print string. I just want it to be random. UE5 Project Storm has suggested try using a switch on int with random int in range, and it sets a random event. Yep, you can totally do that. Yep, that works just fine. I'm a legend. Thank you, SW. And FYI, the previous message was way too much information. Kind of close. Hey Ryan, if you had a ragdolling in multiplayer game, but not for death mechanics, how would you limit the positional desync across the client to server and client? You can't. Simple as that. Physics is way too much data to replicate, so we just don't do it. So if it's physics based, any kind of physics based stuff isn't replicated. It's told to simulate at the same time, and then each computer just does what it can do with it. So when this is how you get sometimes a bit of desync in regards to like grenade explosions. Okay, it'd be roughly the same place, so that's what matters most. So the explosion's the main thing there that happens there. But for ragdolling, it's way too much data to replicate, so you don't. So the reason why also that is important, because not only is it a lot of data, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if player A sees a ragdoll in this position, or player B sees a ragdoll in that position. It shouldn't be gameplay specific. There is something that you do happen to have, which can happen in some games, is they'll ragdoll, and then you have a timeout on the ragdoll, and the ragdoll then stops ragdolling and just goes and then snaps into position, and then you can simulate that, and then that's when you see like bodies like flip flop out the way and then like pop into a position. That's that kicking in some games. But you should not do that. So you've responded. Connor's responded. I have almost away in the character movement component during ragdoll only. I've told the server to stop correcting, except client authoritative, and then tell, yeah. So exactly what I just said. Yeah. So once it's finished ragdolling, you can then simulate its position after the fact. Only do it if it matters. Does it really matter if the player B needs to know where player A's body is? If it does slightly matter. What if one client sees a ragdoll player as eliminated whilst the other one sees him still in the game? It shouldn't be, because you should be replicating the death and the simulation of physics. The simulation of physics should be multicast to the clients. So all the clients see the ragdolling ragdoll, and that's it. The server's told them to ragdoll, not the client. Don't do that. Or kind of close. Or if the client can see himself in the game, but on the server he's been eliminated. Again, all death should be happening via server. Server should be telling the clients when they died. This is why applied damage is a server only thing. Like this applied damage thing. There's a reason why it has a little server in the corner. This is server only. Servers should be handling all damage, all death, everything. Yeah, there will be desync because it's physics. Physics will be desynced. It does not sync physics. All it does is sync up the start of the simulation. It doesn't do anything else like that. Vlad Aslav. Hey Ryan, did the rhythm tutorial win the poll? It didn't, unfortunately. The poll winner is multiple weapon switching. So rather than just having two weapons, switching between multiple weapons. That's what will be coming out this month for Patreon members. Skywalker Game Dev. Can you do a basketball shooting system? It just looks a bit silly when the client can see himself in game and then the server suddenly tells him he's eliminated. No, he should... No. I'm confused about how you set it up. When the player dies, the server's told the client to die. They roll around. They see their ragdoll rolling around. When they respawn, the server should be controlling the respawn. And when it does that, it should remove the old pawn. And that's all multicasted. So the client sees the pawn disappear and they respawn. Again, the server should be telling the client everything. He should never be able to see himself because the server should be the one destructing all that. Dan, will there be a rhythm tutorial in the future? Yeah, in the future, but I say not this month. When the player dies, turn on Ragdoll, another player can revive him. It needs the exact position. What about syncing the pelvis location? No, you'll need to disappear and like revive in place. No, I'm trying to think of a game that has Ragdoll that you can revive people from the Ragdoll. Yeah, I don't know. So Connor, yeah, so there's no death with the Ragdoll. It's just a funny knockback system, and then they get up afterwards. All eliminations are done by falling off a platform. I see what you're doing. Okay, so you're doing Fall Guys then, yeah? So the way Fall Guys does it is it doesn't actually... It is Ragdoll, but they're actually replicating two positions on the character. The two physics. There's like two balls on top of each other, like that. And it's replicating the position of those two balls. The arms and legs are doing whatever the hell they want. They don't do anything. But you replicate the position of those two balls of the characters. It does require some custom code. You need to do that. So the arms are ragdolled, but the body itself is replicated. You're replicating. So if you've got 50 players, you're replicating 100 pieces of a player. That's what's happening. Okay, let's move on to another question here. Basketball. Okay, we can try basketball. So, I'll make the basketball here. And basketball here, it's going to be a sphere. You make it a root because it could be a physics-based object. So physics need the mesh at the root. And then we tell it to not simulate physics just yet, but we'll leave it like that. That'll be fine. And go to player character, and I'm going to change their shoot here to spawn. Well, actually, it'd be pretty much the same as this. Okay, it'd be pretty much the same as the fire of the gun that you get in the first person template, except that you were shooting at a basketball instead. I'm going to leave it as the ball. It's just as fine. You just tweak the physics on it. It's exactly the same as this. Yeah. So you go projectile. And you just change various settings on it. So, for example, changing the speed of it. So maybe change it down to 1500. 1500 there. We'll do bounce yet, bouncing this yet. Yeah, so you get this. It's basically this. This is a basketball game. There's no difference between that shooting out of a gun and you throwing it. It's exactly the same code. The main thing that's different is the animation of the character doing that. You just change the speed of it, so it's not like a fast projectile. So like 500 there. I'll kind of do 700 there. So you got a little bit of acceleration there. Like that. And if you want to change the speed of this based on their spawn, you can do a variable in here for speed or like force on it, and on begin play you can set that into the projectile code here. Set initial speed to that. So, and you make that speed a public variable, not private, editable variable, and expose on spawn. So on a player character, when I spawn a projectile or a basketball, I've got speed in here, and I just plug in a value into that based on, I don't know, how much you've held it down, something like that. Whatever you want to do, it goes through there. Adita Roy, don't spam the question, but I'll answer it anyway. But please don't spam it. When I try to do multiplayer, the blueprints give me a problem saying try access to read none. I need more information on that. So access none means it's getting a reference that doesn't exist. Yeah, that's a different thing. It would be specific to whatever you've got access none. If you got access none, click on the end link on your error message, and then it'll take you to the node that's trying to get it. And it'll probably be something like this, where you get like it'd be like that, and then set like it. Imagine it's this, okay? You'll have, when you click on it, you'll get this sort of effect here, and you may get a blue pin like this. You want to make sure that's validated, so you can go to validate get, or if you can't do that because it's not that type of pin, you drag out and go is valid and check if it's valid. But it sounds like actually fixing the problem at hand. What is the problem you have? You've got an issue in there that you've missed. Chromatic aberration from who was saying it? I just saw it come up. Vlad, yeah, there you go. Going blind. How do you do chromatic aberration on trigger for X amount of seconds and back to normal? Okay, so that's a post process. So for example, on the player character, we could have it here, and a post process. And I don't know, what do they call it on here? Did I actually call it aberration? Yeah, they do. Intensity. So you got 0 there. So you change that to whatever you want it to be. I don't know, 10. I don't know what that effect. There you go. So 10 there. But you want to make this enabled and not enabled. So this is enabled, not enabled. Sorry, like that. And if you want to turn it off and on, trigger for amount of seconds. Okay, so if I hit the 1 key, I want to turn it on. So I'll get the post process variable here, enabled, set enabled. And I can do a timer. If you want to do a timer, you can put a delay on it, whatever you want to do. Depends on how lazy you want to be. So if you do like a timer by event, time of, I don't know, 3 seconds. Event down here, custom event. And we then take this and set that to false. And that's it. So push play. Hit 1, 1, 2, 3. Turn it off. Okay. And you can do it for all, obviously, post processing. Dangling crates from Fractured Vision. If dangling crate is stacked crate destructibles where the crates below destroy, but crates on top stay in place. What? How about fixing dangling crates? Dangling crate is stacked crate destructibles where the crates below destroy, but crates on top stay in place. If you're doing destructibles, it's like physics, so you need to make sure the mesh part is the root. First and foremost. This isn't the chaos version, I can't show it, but that's what I would imagine is the issue. Or just make sure it's actually got physics enabled on it. It's hard to know for certain. Generates hit events when it. Oh right, so your grenade isn't exploding when it does that. Okay, so for example, I'm gonna do make an explosion quickly here. Okay, here's my explosion. And I'll make my projectile. I'll get rid of that. And I'm going to set this back to default. Oh, 3,000, wasn't it? Okay, so when the event hits like this, I'm going to turn off what it has there currently. And when events hit, I'm going to make it blow up like a grenade, okay? Or whatever you want to do. So when it hits here, simply... Event hit will only happen when it hits another physics-based object. So in here, we're going to do destroy actor. And then on the event destroyed, we're going to do spawn explosion. Spawn actor, sorry. And choose explosion. And get this actor transform. Okay, and that does that. So where I shoot these things, wherever they hit, they should spawn explosions. Like that, yep. There's no reason why it shouldn't, as long as the thing's got solid hits against physics bodies. So for example, like this wall here, if I go to the collision settings here, you want to make sure the collision presets are correct for this, which is a bad example because it's a mesh. Oh god, hang on. Let's make a blueprint class so it's easier to show there. So yeah, like, okay, so on this box here, this is a physics actor, so it would detect that here. So this is set to block physics bodies here. My projectile or grenade is a object type projectile, and it's set to block everything you see here. The only thing it doesn't block is pawns. So if I told it not to block physics bodies, so it's overlapped, then it won't work, or ignore it. It won't do the hit event. Like that, see? So just make sure the collisions are set up correctly. So whatever it is hitting that isn't triggering the explosion, you want to make sure it's set to block whatever this thing is. So that's on this thing. On here, you want to make sure this is blocking projectiles, because that's a projectile. And then, yeah, that's it. And that's for X Draco, that one. Fabian, how can I make a mesh longer or shorter based on a pivot? Using Vertex animation material. What are you actually trying to do? I can't visualize what you're trying to do. Can you give me more information there, please, Fabian? Okay, so Stormer is asking, I've been trying to figure out how to switch animation blend spaces by variables. I have character when hunger drops low, she gets thinner. I've got blend spaces, but how do I call them at the low point? So forgive me if I'm got this wrong or misunderstand. On the animation graph, you use blend by bool or blend by int or whatever it may be. Like if you've got blend by int, for example, you can put in the blend poses and put in which index it's going to be using. So if they're thin, they'll use index 0. If they're not thin, they'll use index 1. You can plug that in here, and that'll be a variable they got from the player character. But this is how you blend poses, blend animations together. If that's what you mean. Let me know if I've got that wrong. So Fabian's asking, okay, so how to make a mesh that grows up and down? Using vertex animation. Well, so you want to use vertex animation rather than a transform. Okay. So how do you do that? How could you do that? I don't think you would do it with animation material, because I mean, yeah, actually, you could actually. Let's make a growing material. So like a tree, for example, it grows out of the ground type of thing. Okay, so using the world position offset, you want to grow it based on the gradient, I guess. No. Yeah, so if I do a linear gradient in the V, put in texture coordinate there. You get not that. Why is that? Oh, add 1. Don't want to add 1. Add 0. You should see a gradient here. Yeah, there you go. So I want to invert that. So you do 1 minus. So because you only want to affect the top of the mesh, don't you? So it'd be there. Okay. You will have to UV map your mesh better. But you won't use the time node. So that's what you're probably getting stuck on. Is you using this. Don't use that. Because the problem with time is that it's constant. You eventually your thing's going to reach an end. You don't want to keep going. Because that'd be insane. So what you do is you make a scalar parameter. So like growth, I guess. And this will be into a lerp. A linear interpolate. As the alpha. So as it goes between 0 and 1, it's going to choose between these two values. And this is like a sort of mask. So in here, we're going to no, what do I do? Come on, brain, kick in. I need to set the max location. So if I'm going up in the air, so it'd be Z here. So let's say 500 there. But I want to mask that by this. Yeah. So we multiply that by this mask. It looks red, but it's just basically a white or black value. And that will go into B. And then... No. I don't think this will work, but we'll try it anyway. And this top one here will be just a 3 vector here. Going into there, and that'll be of 0, 0, 0. No. 0, 0? Yeah, 0, 0, 0. And that'll go into world position offset here. and hit apply, and I think then you make an instance of it. And if I change this growth value, you get that effect. There you go. So it should. It depends on the UV map of it, I guess. But you can do that effect. Is this similar to what you want to do, Fabian? Could you run with where we got from here and to where you want to go? So this value is what you send over into your object. So let's say, for example, we have an object here. And let's say this is a tree that is going to grow. We'll add a cube. And I'll put it underneath the ground. So it looks like it's actually coming out of the ground then. Like that. And I'm going to give it that growing material instance. Like that. Oh, let's ignore it. Let's bring that back down to 0. There you go. So there's our tree. Again, you should model the things so the pivot's at the bottom and the UV, the UV's at the bottom. These are modeled with the UV like a square, so you want to make sure it's UV'd at the bottom here. I think this makes sense. And then on the graph here on begin play, you're going to do a timeline and do it growing. And on the growing of the timeline, you're going to have a float growth, which is going to go between 0 and 1 over time. So 0 and then 1. And the time for that one, we'll say it's going to take 10 seconds. But which value 1? It's going to be 0, 0. And the length of this is going to be 10. Let's make this a bit smaller so you guys don't see too much crap. You get growth out of this. So in here, we need to get the dynamic material. So you drag the cube out and set scalar parameter value on material. And type in growth, the name of the thing. And the parameter value is this. Now, over 10 seconds, that should grow. I see something. I see a shadow. Let's put it up in the air so I can actually see what it's doing. Oh, it was working. Don't know why it weren't showing through the floor. Push play. Oh, there you go. Don't know what that was about. There you go. Now I've got a growing tree. Oh, it was occluded. Wait, because you can't see the base of it, it occludes. So it goes invisible. So you can make it so it doesn't ever occlude. Oh my god, where was that setting? In rendering, I think, somewhere. Oh, what was it called? Nope, I can't remember it. I have to Google it. You can turn it off for everything, but I don't want to do that ideally. There was a way to do it per actor. I guess you can just change the box extent of its culling view. Which was where's the setting for that? In LOD. So in here, never distance cull, and no, where was it? Not that distance. Bounds. Yeah, bound scale. There you go. You turn that up. So I'm going up by 10 or 5. I'll do 10. There you go. And that should increase the bounds of it. So there you go. I can look off above it and it should still do its thing. Got tree. Boom. Say tree. It's a big black box, but never mind. Okay. Ryan, is it possible to change to a moon gravity floating character on trigger for X amount of seconds and back to default? Yes, it is, Vlad. So let's again. I'm gonna go back to my player character. Do it on a key press. Now you got two choices. You can do it for the whole level, for a certain area of that level, or per actor. So I'll show you per actor first. So a character, I'm going to disconnect one. I'll do it on 2 actually. So I push 2 key and I'm going to do this, okay, for a certain amount of time. So on the character movement component for characters, you've got a gravity scale on it. So set gravity scale on here, and you can set it to be lower than 1. Because that might set to 1, so it'd be perfectly matched to the rest of the world. But if I change it to 0.2 and then do set timer. Or I'll be lazy. I'll put a delay. But you can do a timer like we did before. I'll do a delay for 3 seconds. And then take that and put that back here and set it back to 1. What that's doing is taking the world's gravity and scaling it down just for this character. So So I'll jump around like normal. Hit 2. And now I've got anti-gravity for 3 seconds. Like that. Okay, so that's per actor. If you want it per in an area, I'll turn that off for now. Actually, I'll leave it on because I'm not going to hit 2. I just won't hit 2. So to do it in a certain area, you get a physics volume like this, and on there you can change the gravity of it somewhere. Or was it this one? Hang on. Volumes. Should be. If not, you do it as a trigger volume and you do it in a level. I swear it was on that. Maybe it wasn't. Okay, maybe it wasn't. But you can do it in a level. So the level blueprint here. And let's say we have a custom event in here to change gravity of the entire level. And when it does that, you're going to set gravity. No, how can you do that? Get. Hang on. Gravity. Turn it off. It is applied from. Hang on. There's no world settings. You can change it there. So it must be available somewhere else. Override world gravity. What we want to do. I don't know if you. You should be able to do it in here. Override gravity. Yeah, enable NAS for that. World settings. Okay, it just gets, is it? How did I do it before? I did it for a student once. It was like they go outside and spacewalk and it turned into anti-gravity. But I can't remember what the hell it was. Maybe just disabled gravity. Maybe that's what I did. I think I just done disable gravity then, maybe for that project. How to get less gravity? I don't know. Maybe you just have to go around and call that function all the things you want it to do. The gravity on the, multiple things, but you got on the character there. But if you want to do it for everything, I guess you have to do it like that for everything. I don't know. That's how I'm looking at one. I've only got a couple minutes left, so we're going to try and answer quick fire ones. Bartasus, is there a way to delay a projectile, i.e. arrow spawn actor, mouse button click and then add velocity when it's released? Yeah. So let's say projectile. So when this is spawned, by default it's set to, on its projectile here, to have initial speed of 3000, max speed of 3000 here, and what you can do is turn it to not auto activate. So turn that off, and then let's do on begin play. We do a delay. I'm gonna be cheating, but I'm gonna delay here. Time sakes. So delay for 3 seconds, and then I'm gonna activate the projectile movement. So when I shoot. Oh, it hit itself. But, yeah, move back. Wait, no, the lifespan of the projectile. Hang on. Look, lifespan's got lifespan set to 3 seconds as well. Do that at 10. So imagine like you're doing bow and arrow. You click, shoot the bow, and then when you let go of it, you want to send an instruction to it to then activate the projectile movement on it, and then you got projectiles, and that's how you do like bow and arrow stuff, if that's what you're asking for, Bartasus. But yeah. What is the best way to find the nearest vector from a vector array? Sadly, you have to do it one by one. So I've got a video about how to find the nearest actor. Yours would be that exactly same thing, but rather than using actors, you skip a step and just use the vectors instead. But it's pretty much the same. Oshri Mac, do you have a video that explains material nodes like multiply and such? Not yet. It's on the to-do list to do all those things as part of how-to videos to explain various nodes like that in the material editor. You're welcome, Vlad. No worries. You're welcome, Bartasus. Last one is Stormer. I've got a hunger bar already and some variables to have it drawn over time. I need to figure out how to switch it to another blend space by calling it variable, if this helps. Okay, so and some variables have it drawn over time. I need to figure out how to switch it by blend space calling for that variable. Okay, so that would match up to what I said earlier. You just have like an int. You can't do float because floats are they're too wide, they're too vague of a margin for the things there. But maybe you could do like a boolean. You could blend by bool, blend by int. Yeah, you got a few options there. And I want to say thank you so much everyone's questions for tonight. That brings us to the end of this week's question time. If you didn't get your question answered, I apologize, but we have run out of time. However, we do this every Wednesday, so come by next Wednesday for some question time AMAs where you can ask whatever you want. There's more content coming out on Patreon and YouTube every week as normal. This week's another live stream, and we're going to be doing a specialized live stream. More details on that coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. As then the next week again is another question time. Thanks again for everyone supporting me over on Patreon and YouTube members. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. And yes, I will be going full time into doing this come July, August. So this summer I'll be starting to go full time on this, giving myself more time for more sessions, more live streams, more content. The podcast will be returning, plus lots more things that I wasn't able to do whilst working full-time at college, I will now be able to do here too. So thank you to everyone who's showing me their support. I'll be giving it back to you to show you what we can do when I've actually got my full-time and attention applied to this. So yeah, really can't wait to get there and get started with all these other cool stuff I want to show. So thank you again for your support. And I say it wouldn't be possible without your guys' continued financial support, because I say that what allows me to do this full time and support my family, pay my bills, and feed my kids. So thank you again so much. I'm gonna have to go get some sleep. So thank you everyone, and I'll see you all on Saturday. Bye everyone.